watching the TMC Newsroom. My name is Rich Trani. Thanks for watching. On our program today, Joe Camello, the VP of Marketing at Sidera Networks. Joe, welcome to the show.
Thanks for having me. Looking forward to chatting with you.
Likewise. So, I'd like to start out at the top in case there's maybe a few people not familiar with your company out there in our vast audience. Let us know what you guys do.
Sure. Sidera Networks is a fiber provider mainly in the Northeast, from Maine down to DC and then out to Chicago. We have, basically three main areas of business. We service the wholesale space, so other service provider partners that we have, the enterprise market, large enterprises, and of course the financial services vertical, which is the heart of our enterprise business, especially considering our concentration of network in the New York, New Jersey area.
So from wholesale to retail?
Absolutely, yeah.
What trends are you seeing in the market?
Right now, we're seeing a lot of our enterprise customers and financial services firms wanting to still take advantage of our low latency capabilities, so we have a deep low latency expertise from New York and out to Chicago where the major exchanges are. So that continues to be an important trend for us as a business. We're also seeing a lot of activity around making sure that we're interconnected to the data centers. One of the great things about data center connectivity and cloud services is that the cloud and the data center doesn't work without the network. We're lucky to benefit from that. And so we're making sure that we're connected to all the data centers in our footprint. Anything that's within a mile or two of our footprint, we're making sure we're connected to it. And our customers appreciate that. So they continue to ask us for that as well. And then the third piece is people asking us, or our customers asking us, to make sure we're connected to exchanges, other exchanges besides the one in our footprint. So extending our expertise out from a financial services standpoint, not just to the New York, New Jersey, Chicago area, but connecting from a high performance standpoint to Toronto, the exchange in Toronto, or London, or Sao Paulo, or out to Asia. So those are some of the things we're really hearing from our customer base.
So when you look at the competitive market out there, why do customers choose your organization?
Most of the time, it's largely because of what we've built in the network is a high amount of really high performance network. So we specialize in high performance. What does that mean? It means a lot of diversity in the network. An example of that is, the 95 corridor from New York down to Washington, D.C. Well, it's a highly trafficked network corridor. We're the only company that has the Transcom route, which is 30 to 40 miles north of 95. So our customers appreciate the diversity. They don't have to, if something unfortunate were to happen to the 95 corridor, they can take our Transcom route as an example to get around those problems, those congestion points. High performance also equals things like the low latency we were talking about earlier. We spend a lot of time and money and resources on making sure we provide the lowest latency for our customers, and availability. So from a competitive standpoint, folks come to us for that diversity, that availability, that low latency, that really large enterprises demand from their service providers like us.
Now, you'll hear quite often that there's not enough fiber in the ground, and you also hear that there's a glut of fiber. I mean, I hear both. Certainly after the CLEC implosion,
sure,
we did have a lot of fiber in the ground. The question is, do we still have a glut, or do we not have enough, or does it depend on the location?
Yeah, I think it's highly dependent on the location. But I would say that there's my personal opinion is that there's enough fiber out there right now to serve the demands of the market. But there are places that need to be served better, and I'll give you an example. So in the New York, New Jersey area, I think there's a ton of fiber available. What companies are looking for is the performance of that fiber, for, like we were talking about, the low latency market as an example. But there are other places, let's take Ashburn, Virginia as an example, where all these new data center parks are going in. Well, there wasn't a lot of companies that were serving that area. Now there are a few, but you need a lot of fiber and a lot of capacity out of those data centers for the content guys like Facebook and Amazon and the financial services companies that are trying to back up and recover there. I think we probably need more resources in that area because there's a ton of bandwidth coming out of Ashburn, coming back up the East Coast. You look at areas like Chicago. There's a lot of players in Chicago, sure, but there's new data center parks going up in Elk Grove. So I think there are spots that are well served, obviously, and there are new places that are developing, new data center parks as an example, and new metros that still need to be served better. And at least in our footprint, we're going to make sure we're there.
And so, I mean, you have a footprint which, I mean, arguably has had a lot of competition just because it's such a dense area and
Yeah.
there's a lot of money there, and so there was a lot of investment.
Yeah.
I guess the areas where the cell phone towers are
Yeah.
are examples
Sure.
as well of places that generally are not served, right? It may have like a few T1s going to them,
Right.
and now there's no fiber, and
Yeah.
you need massive amounts of fiber because
Yeah.
of all the smartphones, right?
That's truth, yeah. You know, I'd say the mobile backhaul market is something people have been talking about for a long time. And I think the argument could be made that you know, you can have an Ethernet strategy coming out of there, an IP strategy, an optical strategy. It depends on how well trafficked that tower is, et cetera. Within our footprint, connecting up to the towers is obviously something that is important to us and important to our wholesale customers, as an example, versus the enterprise side. And a lot of our business is wholesale, and a lot of our business is making sure that we're connected to those towers and connecting that traffic back into the core network.
So what's next?
You know, I think the main area for us is within the existing footprint to continue to serve the customers, as we talked about, making sure we're still the lowest latency play for the trillions of dollars of trades that transverse our network every day. We will be expanding to locations like I said, Sao Paulo, to Tokyo, and to the APAC for exchange access. We'll continue to connect to data centers within our footprint. And I think you'll see us talking more and more about the effect of the network as it relates to cloud services. And I know it's a buzzword and an overused area, but we really do believe that everyone can talk all they want about the cloud, but unless you have the right connectivity coming in and out of it, you know, it's not going to work. The last point I'd say is I think that there's a trend toward network elasticity that service providers haven't really embraced completely yet. And that's where customers can sort of access the network themselves, come into a GUI, and then dial up demand when they need it or how they need it as a result of cloud services and data center connectivity and new applications. And you'll see folks like us and others talk a lot more about how to give customers more flexibility with their network. And I think that's the big trend in the service provider space.
And it's certainly a win-win for everyone,
I
right?
think
Because it
so.
allows you to maximize revenue from customers that need more, but it also doesn't lock them in to buying more than they need, and it's a pay-as-you-grow, kind of the way the cloud is, right?
Absolutely, but the network hasn't kept pace with the cloud business model. The network needs to catch up.
So you're talking about like that you've got back office issues, so back office and front office, and the GUI has to work with the back office to work with all the
Billing
provisioning.
systems, provisioning, across the board. It's not an easy problem to solve, but I think it's the direction all of us have to head.
Very exciting.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah, thanks for your time, man. Appreciate it.